And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stepladder Finals of the PWBA Lincoln Open, live from Sun Valley Lanes here in Lincoln, Nebraska. My name is Emil Williams Jr., and pleased to be joined by PWBA champion Josie Barnes. Josie, we've got a fantastic show with a different crew, so to speak, but some we are very familiar with, and one making a return. First time on TV for Sandra Gongora in quite some time, but let's talk about Danielle McEwan and Liz Johnson in our opening match.
Yeah, I'm really excited about today's telecast. I think there are a couple exciting storylines. One is how Danielle got here. It came down to the very last frame, which was very exciting to watch. And then you have Liz making a run for her, I believe, 25th professional title. You couldn't ask for a more talented stepladder.
It is going to be interesting. Danielle, speaking of, I forgot the number off the top of my head. I believe it was 221. That's
Yes,
what she
it was.
shot. And Sherry Tan opened in the 10th frame.
Yeah.
She needed to mark to.
Yeah, I think Sherry could have gone 9 out and they would have tied. And she ended up, it was a very interesting into the game because she had started throwing the same ball on both lanes. And then I think from what I could see, there were a lot of people standing around. She ended up going to a urethane ball in the left lane, which is what she finished on. She had thrown a great shot there in the 8th frame. I thought it was close, I think, in the 10th, and it was just a little up the lane, and it read and checked early, and essentially big forward.
DMAC did what she had to do, made the climb. If the Bowl TV folks recall, I mentioned that she made a ball change in Game 5 of that block, and that ball ultimately was the difference to get her to the stepladder final. We welcome back Sandra Gongora to the stepladder final. First time she's been in a final situation since 2016. And the winner of that match, of course, will take on Jordan Richard, Rookie of the Year.
Who's been fantastic this weekend.
Led throughout and still leading, of course. She had some ups and downs, as did everyone kind of in the round of 12. But it's certainly going to be an interesting show. That's enough for us. Liz Johnson, Danielle McEwan. You have got what we need. Where else would you want to be on a Saturday evening? Hello to all in the chat room. Big thanks to Brand Houghton, Aaron Smith, Curtis Von Kruger. LJ will start us off. And the 9 count to begin things.
Good shot to start. From what it looked like, Liz is doing Liz things. She's a little further right than I think you'll see the other competitors playing. It's actually interesting. I thought the very first block of qualifying people started a little further right around where Liz was, and then we migrated left pretty quickly. But as the weekend went along, people started to start further left. So we'll see how that plays out.
First shot for McEwan upcoming. You see Liz 9 spare. Danielle won the Fountain Valley Open last year. I said when she was kind of making her run that last year she won the 3rd event of the season, and she's on that path again. And an early 2-pin.
I think if you watch what Danielle is doing, the pattern was 38 feet with, I believe, 21 mils. Danielle likes to play them straight. Not quite as straight as Liz, but she likes to keep her angles on top of her. So watching what she's attempting to do, it just shows you how far left people were getting to start and how open their angles were, because, it's actually pretty incredible to me that Danielle has bowled as well as she has, and that just shows you what kind of great competitor she is, because I would say if you asked her, this isn't the thing that she's most comfortable doing. It's not the thing that if she had to choose how to play to win a title that she would do.
I feel that, and obviously you know this because you see her compete against her or a teammate of hers on Team USA, her repeatability always keeps her in contention.
We joke we have a nickname for her called the Robot. on Team
I've
USA
heard that a couple
because
times.
she just repeats.
If you are just joining us, this is the opening match. Danielle McEwan is the number 4 seed today versus Liz Johnson, USBC Hall of Famer, future PWBA Hall of Famer. Speaking of the PWBA Hall of Fame, they'll be back first time in 16 years next Wednesday in an early open for McEwan.
It's uncharacteristic, but I will say multi-pin spares were a little more difficult this weekend because of the friction just from the low mills and the pattern added to the lane surface. It made you think about what you were shooting at a little more than you normally would.
And a 310 there for Liz. I feel that Liz has been throwing this particular combination of bowling ball for certainly all of the round of 12, or at least some variants of it, if it's not the exact same one, and certainly this area of the lane as well. But you know, everyone else, as you mentioned earlier, a little further left. Liz kind of doing what Liz does.
Yeah. Ball selection was really interesting this weekend. You know, especially on the fresh. It was all about finding a ball that just helped you control the 1-3 because there were not a lot of high scores on the fresh for this pattern. So, you know, this is probably just something that Liz found comfort in, and you didn't really have to have a lot of high scores. You know, I think going into the last game of the 6-game block, she was only at 7 over, and she was in third place,
Yeah.
I think? Yeah.
Nice shot.
Great shot.
Liz, a 2-time champion last year, won the nationwide PWBA Columbus Open, also won the PWBA Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles event, also known as the Lucy, also ran by Donna Connors, also being inducted to the PWBA Hall of Fame next week. Here's McEwan.
Good shot.
I saw a lot of balls that tended to not make sudden moves left. Was that kind of on purpose, as you mentioned a little bit, just to get to the 1-3?
Yeah, I know for me, I ended up drilling a ball that doesn't flare a lot to begin with, and then put a drilling on it that allowed it to flare even less, just so I had some predictability in that bag, because you didn't really need anything that went sideways. Because if you watch, when you hit the 1-3, the pins actually fly pretty well here. The problem was getting it to the 1-3.
Nice
and as I
adjustment
say
there.
that, she flat 10.
So a few wrap tens. What we did notice certainly is if you went through the nose, it was very difficult to break down a split. I saw some very interesting leaves.
I will agree with that.
Especially actually kind of on this pair. There were a few that, you know, I was like, oh, how did that happen?
Oh gosh. I think pair to pair here is very tricky as well. You probably saw it sitting up here. There were several pairs of lanes where, at least for myself, I was 4 or 5 different with my feet, which is rare for me. And talking to some of the fellow competitors, they had a lot of the same situations. Great shot.
Big double for Liz Johnson. Liz made 3 Stepladder finals appearances last year. Actually made the Stepladder at the opening event in Las Vegas last year, where she actually faced Leanne Holstenberg, and that was certainly a clash of legends. Shayna Ung ultimately came out with the title there.
Isn't that the cool part about this tour, though? You know, looking back to last year, that match was probably one of the most exciting matches we had, because you said Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer, but the young guns as well, because Diana and Shayna were both on that show. So it's, that's the cool thing about this tour is it's kind of like a melting pot of those generations.
So quickly McEwan up, trailing after that three-bagger put up by Liz Johnson. High
Great
flush.
shot.
Mentioned Sandra Gongora is the number 2 seed. She will face the winner of this opening match. Gongora stuck to her game plan throughout, she said, and has resulted in a championship round appearance. It's been a while too. First time since 2016. McEwan trying to double up. Nice shot.
Good shot.
If you want to talk about, certainly the present, future, obviously Liz Johnson, but someone like a Danielle McEwan in this matchup, in a sense, is very, indicates where we are with our tour, with our sport.
Well, the fact that you see these types of matches basically every week in some form or fashion.
7-pin for Liz Johnson, now living in Palatine, Illinois, of course, originally from
Cheektowaga.
There you go.
How could you forget?
I feel like you were itching to say that right there.
I was actually going through my cell phone, some photos this morning because we were exchanging baby photos, myself and Shannon O'Keefe. And as we were going through some of the old ones, I came across one that I have saved everywhere, and it's of me and my sister bowling a pro-am with Liz back when the old tour was still around. So she'd probably kill me if I posted it anywhere. But
I feel that you posted that before.
Oh yeah, it's there somewhere.
Okay. 7th frame Johnson.
Great shot.
10 back. Talking about someone who certainly knows how to win. And each round you just saw, Liz moving on up. And she opened the round of 12 with a 240 game, and it's just instantly, it's winning time.
Yeah.
It's time to put myself in position to get there.
I think the interesting part about Liz is, for as amazing as she is, I think most of us consider her the GOAT. Oh, get up there. Little right. I feel like she's still so sneaky. And I don't know how you can be that good and be sneaky. I don't, but you just turn around and you think that she's like 60 off the pace, and you're like, no, there's Liz doing Liz things.
I feel you on that. It's because of, she's not going to just jump out at you. She's just going to do what she does best, and that's win.
That's an interesting way to.
It's a tough spare. 2-8 taken care of. 24 pins. Right now the deficit here for McEwan. Liz looks certainly to be lined up. I'm interested to see what DMAC can put together here. Got to put something up. A strike here in the 8th would certainly start the process.
Got a hook.
What are you seeing there?
I think some of it comes back to, like I said, the angles are steeper than I think Danielle normally likes to play. And she doesn't have a ton of rotation. So when she gets it right, it tends to just start to tumble instead of really coming off the spot. And so it's a delicate mix because you don't want too much rotation because that's when it comes off the spot and it's, cutting through the heart of the deck. But, I think just a little more and it might pop off of it a little bit. But it's just so tough when you're teetering that line.
Big thanks to everyone here. Sun Valley Lanes and Lincoln Nebraska. 8th frame, Johnson looking for a double.
But those are the kind of hits that are going to help. I think if you asked her right now, she would say that wasn't her best shot of the match. But the people that are going to be bowling on today's show are the ones that didn't throw their best shot and still somehow found a way to get 9. Where everyone else that's sitting in the bleachers, when we missed, we big 4, and so that means they're doing the right thing.
.27 for Johnson. Max scores for Danielle McEwan. 210.
Yeah, 210. Great shot.
The winning type shot for Liz Johnson, but D-Mac can't step up, put some pressure on Liz. 9th frame. Wow. A bucket.
Yeah, and I think she liked that one okay, just based on her body language.
That was so common. Saw the body language, and not just from Danielle, but as you mentioned, a lot of players where it looked like they threw it well, felt good, and the result certainly was not what they expected.
Yeah, I mean, I know for myself, especially through qualifying a lot, I feel like I do a pretty decent job of controlling my emotions, and I found myself getting angry at myself for the way I was reacting to certain things because, you have this list of things that if this doesn't work, then this is what I'm going to try, and if that doesn't work, and then you find yourself at the bottom of the list, and still nothing's working, and it's frustrating.
Another quality
that was
shot.
A desperation.
38 feet was the distance of this week's pattern. And 21.52 milliliters of oil.
Just quite a bit different from what we bowled on last weekend.
Mathematically, this one is over. As Liz Johnson will advance to face Sandra Gongora of Mexico. Just briefly, talk about maybe some of the differences between last week's pattern and this week's pattern.
Well, first, the distance was significantly longer, but also the milliliters of oil. I think we were at almost 30 last week, 29 point some change, and so it's just quite a bit different. The lane surface was obviously different. I will say that last week I thought there was more friction than I anticipated just looking at the pattern, but I think it just broke down quicker this week. And some of it I think has to do with the pattern. I thought the field this week was incredible. We had 70 some odd athletes, but if you look, the Malaysians came in. We still had all the girls from Singapore. To make the top 12 at this event was really difficult.
Yeah, and that's missing some players too.
Oh, yeah, because Colombia, they're down in Costa Rica. Which I think they just won the team gold today.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Liz tried something. 215 to 184. D-Mac got herself to the Stepladder finals. And I know for Danielle, certainly a bit of a confidence booster. Not happy with the way she started the season. Missed the cut in Cleveland. Bowled well last week, made the round of 12.
Yeah.
And now, of course, Stepladder finals appearance here.
Yeah, Danielle is one of the hardest workers we have. I like to pride myself on being a practicer. I don't think I even sniff the zone that Danielle's in. She is working all of the time, and so she competes a lot. when she's away from the PWBA tour. So you know that first event was frustrating for her, but there's no doubt that she's going to be back on another one of these shows here this summer. She's always one to kind of watch on the scoreboard.
Get a good look here at Sandra Gongora, also Jordan Richard, the number 1 seed, able to practice. I'm suspecting Sandra, when I talked to her before the round of 12, she talked about her plan, and she was focused today on just kind of staying within herself and what she wanted to do, and not necessarily kind of thinking about maybe what others might be doing that was successful, but everything that she could do to be successful.
I think that will be the key to her success. You know, she's been on one other TV show, I believe, and I think controlling those emotions are what's going to dictate how this next game goes. Because, you know, we were talking a little bit at lunch, but Jordan obviously led the event wire to wire, but in this zone of breakdown, I thought Sandra had maybe the best ball reaction in the building. And so if she can control those emotions and not really pay attention to what's going on around her, I think she has a really good shot at this title.
She certainly does. And folks, don't forget, we also have a PWBA regional tomorrow morning. So if you are interested in bowling on the PWBA tour, the regional is a great opportunity to do so. Please register now for one of the PWBA regional tournaments. For more information on all of the different cities the PWBA will be visiting and more info, please log on to pwba.com.
The first regional went great, from what I heard. Had a great turnout. I think that I was able to watch the Stepladder from home. I think it's really cool that it gives these girls an opportunity to compete in this setting that maybe haven't had the chance to make a TV show yet. So if you're interested at all, get out there and find one of these regionals.
Excellent opportunity to develop your skills, to be able to, certainly, if you're not feel like, hey, I don't know if I'm quite ready for Josie Barnes yet, I want to step out on the regional scene. That is an excellent place to do that. We already had one in Cleveland. Elise Bolton actually won that one. And if you are a PWBA member and you win a regional, you will earn a spot into the Go Bowling Regional Showdown, which will actually take place in August. So one note about Sandra Gongora. We talked about her TV experience or Stepladder Finals experience, and I'm just talking PWBA. She's got plenty of experience internationally.
Correct.
Representing Mexico. Absolutely. Yeah, several gold medals. Went to Wichita State, but she actually lost to Liz in that show, 2016 Las Vegas Open.
How many of us can say that? My first show, I lost to Liz. I thought I bowled so well, and I think I shot 225 something. Liz had 290 going into the 10th. It's really humbling.
She can do that too. Well, Sandra Gongora's ball reaction looks pretty good.
She looks great.
All right, folks. Here we go. Ready for our semifinal match. Bowling fans, how about a great send-off?
So it looks like Sandra wants Liz to start, so Liz will finish the match. And Sandra chose that.
What do you think in regards to that?
Honestly, I don't know. You'd have to go down and ask Sandra. Sure. There are a couple different reasons for that. One, if you're nervous and you know you haven't had a lot of opportunities getting up there to finish first. Sometimes it's a little more comfortable. But she also might just think that one lane's better than the other. And, you know, if I need to get up and strike out in the 10th to give myself a chance, I want my good lane.
Sandra Gongora after the early strike from Liz Johnson. I feel that Sandra was just completely about it this week. Her emotions, to me, screamed, this is my week.
Yeah.
First shot.
Now that one to me looked like she got around it just a little more. But a makeable spare.
3-6-10 for Gongora. It went to Wichita State.
Interesting note. I actually noticed it in the last game, and maybe it's not new this week, but new this season. Sandra's throwing a spare ball, which I think at least she used to flatten out one of her reactives. So if it was going into this week, there wasn't a better week to do it because there were spare balls again. So.
Look at Gongora. Certainly one of the most talented, best physical games out on the PWBA tour.
And she's worked really hard the last couple seasons. Great shot. She's always had a very powerful game, but to me, the work that she's put in has just kind of honed that and calmed it down just a little bit to make it more controllable. And I don't know if this is specifically what she's worked on, but to me, the thing that I've noticed is her footwork is a little more controlled, which then allows for a little more repeatability at the line. And that could be a byproduct of something else she was working on, but that's just one of the things that I've noticed.
Liz, bang,
Great
good
shot. Liz doing Liz things.
You mentioned you and plenty other individuals have been on the other side of a Liz win, and so I'll ask you, in your experience, what, in your opinion, makes Liz such a great competitor?
How much time do we have?
That's a good question.
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, she has a bulldog mentality. You know, she's never super emotional. I don't think, she knows who she is, and she doesn't try to be anyone else, which I think is important. And we talked about this week. I think people look at it and say, Liz is so great at playing straight. She just finds a way to make it work. She's actually very versatile. If you pay attention, I think one of the things that she does probably better than a lot of women is her speed control. She's able to pick it up and bring it down and, stay in that part of the lane for longer because of that, where some of us aren't quite as good at that, honestly.
Spare converted for LJ.
And that was not an easy spare this week.
6-10?
There were a lot of people that took the 6 straight back.
Gongora can take the lead here. First shot on this lane, she left at 3-6-10.
Good shot.
Have you gotten a chance to, maybe, and not that you didn't have conversation before, but now kind of being under the same umbrella from a brand equipment perspective with Sandra, had more combos about various things, equipment, etc.?
A little bit. She's throwing an asymmetric ball right now, which will help the ball. It's a little bit clean enough through the front part of the lane here, but still gives it some spunk in the back end. But I think I noticed that it's pinned down, which should help smooth it out just a little bit, so it's not doing anything crazy on the back. It's a ball that all the girls on our staff like, so it makes sense that she would use it this week. A lot of times we aren't throwing the same equipment. We throw it quite a bit different, but I think her other choice, at least what she was warming up with, was a bigger metric ball. But what I noticed during the warm-up was most of the girls, maybe outside of Liz, were throwing bigger balls right, trying to just burn up a little bit of a track, so that way if they got it a little bit right, it would still pick up off of it to try to get back to the pocket.
All right, Liz at the moment trailing by 1. The Hall of Famer. So used to seeing her in these positions. She just turned 45 years old last week, and wouldn't you know it, in a Stepladder final. Bang.
Good shot.
I want to thank all of our sponsors here on tour: BowlerX.com, GoBowling.com, Nationwide Pepsi, and Cubica AMF. Actually, part of Cubica AMF, this center scoring system, and the lanes as well. But you see the lights, of course, that are illuminating. That is a Cubica AMF feature.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah.
Good shot. They just didn't connect.
That type of hit there, you saw a couple pins just kind of twirl and look like they might even stand.
Yeah.
I've seen that so much this weekend.
Yeah, I don't really know. I know I had a pair down here that I pocket 6-pin one, and I don't know if it's just the crazy angles that
Sure.
we're playing, or you said different volume of oil than maybe what we're used to seeing. Yeah, there were some weird ones.
Fifth frame, Gongora. And a little weak 10 there. Hear the rep saying, good pitch, good pitch. It certainly looked good off the hand. Got ourselves an even match.
Those are really the hits that you kind of just had to be comfortable with this week, because when you started trying to make them strike, that's when you had 7 counts and none of the pins were touching. So.
All right, so take care of it.
I don't think she was so sure about that one.
Yeah.
Based on her facial expression.
Gongora searching for her first career PWBA title from Monterrey, Mexico. Longtime member of the Mexican national team since 2002.
Yeah, that's a while.
That's impressive.
Because she's not that old.
No. Even match. 6 frame. Hook.
I like it.
Man. So, 10 pin. We've seen a couple of wrap 10s from her. And so, if you're her, Jose, what are you looking at?
Yeah, it's tough to say. Some people would make a ball change. It'll be interesting to see if she goes over and talks to the ball reps after this shot, because I would venture to guess that one double and clean probably isn't going to beat Liz. For me, this week when I would flat 10 like that, I'd try to find a way to just inch a little bit further left, maybe 2 and 1, and slow it down just a touch to maybe help it go through the pins a little better. But I didn't really get to see Sandra a lot. We were pretty far apart, so I'm sure that she has a progression that when this started to happen, she had something to go to.
Wow.
Good shot.
Another great shot. Both competitors. That's not the issue. Certainly in this match, throwing really good shots.
I think that this is the interesting part in a match where you treat this situation different than you do all week, because if this were just another game in the middle of qualifying, you might take a chance and do something different, but now you're even. So you're kind of, as much as Sandra doesn't want to pay attention to what her competitor's doing,
sure,
you're still looking, going, okay, she's going through the same things I'm going through, so if I can continue to hit the 1-3 and kick out one more strike than she does, then we'll find a way to pull this one out and win it. So there are some differences between Stepladder and qualifying in that regard.
7th frame for Johnson. That looks left. And a Greek church. And maybe the first opening at this point in an even match. Sometimes, obviously, it's the first to make a mistake. Rarely is it Liz Johnson.
Well, and this one's a big one, too, because count just stinks. That's a lot of pins left out there where You know, I think most people probably had a bad shot a game, but 5 on a spare really hurts.
Well, an opening for Gongora in the 7th. When you're bowling against Liz Johnson, many people say the greatest of all time, you don't get many opportunities like this.
Nope.
You must take advantage. If you give her any opportunity to take it back, she's going to do that. Oh.
That's another good one.
Wow. That was near disaster there, 7-10, but 7 goes and just a single pin. I believe that is she's only left 10 pins.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
From a single pin perspective.
Yes.
First frame was a 3-6-10.
But again, we're in that situation where she's had 4 10 pins in a row, but she's up by 16.
Dead on the money. What words might you be telling yourself at this point in this type of match, Josh?
Breathe. You know, just keep it simple. Keep going through your process. And enjoy it.
Which probably is underrated.
Yep.
8th frame, Gongora needs it.
Oh, no.
Goodness
Come on.
gracious me. High flush 7. I gotta just say, regroup. You see the breath? Probably said a few words.
She laughed a little there.
Yep. I'm not fluent in Spanish.
She might not want you to be right now.
But I'm going to try to be in the next 2 minutes. All right, big spare coming up here.
She said vamos, I believe, which means let's go.
Indeed.
I think.
Well, she threw and has thrown, if you look at her score, obviously. Several good shots consecutively.
Yes.
That shot on 23, I mean.
You know, that was common this week, though. I'm sure you saw it sitting up here.
All right, Liz, and now Johnson. 1, 2, 4, 10. We can look at Liz, who doesn't waste much time on the approach at all.
I think she's a little frustrated.
Indeed. She's going to give this one a run. She's got a chance.
Good
Takes
spare.
care. 15-pin lead for Gongora. 2 frames to go.
Now this shot's important. Because if she strikes here, she still has 210 out there. Which means that Sandra would have to double somewhere.
It's interesting. The last few shots for Liz have, minus the Greek church, which was left, but these last 2 have looked.
It's like she's trying to give it away a little bit,
right.
Which is not what she had been doing. At least from the perspective that I had.
All right, tell spare made. 2-4-8. The last few frames for Liz, from a count perspective, we talked about the Greek church, 6 spare, 7 spare.
Yeah.
And Gongora has given herself, obviously, without striking, the maximum opportunity from a count standpoint.
That was probably one of the most underrated things this week, was just count.
SG. Ninth frame. There's
Good
one.
shot.
I just feel that, when I'm on the air, I always talk a little bit about players who might be due. And every year we kind of watch the progressions of certain players, and you feel obviously they reached that point to where okay, they've knocked on the door. It should be opening at a certain point, and I feel that she's worked so hard. Gongora a chance to get to a final. Okay.
She's touching the 1-3 a lot. I think the hardest part is there are so many of those athletes out here that I think are that close. But we don't have that many events for all of them to break through every year. So it's always fun, to see them finally get through.
Needs it.
It's a good spare.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 spares, folks. Needs 3 pins to advance to face Jordan Richard, the #1 seed, the PWBA Lincoln Open title. It'll do it. And Gongora is
It's a
on to her
well-bowled game.
first title match. PWBA. That was certainly a well-bowled, very professional type game, folks. If you didn't think spares were important in our sport, this game gave you everything you needed to know. Certainly last week as well. Shannon talked about it during her win last week, and it was evident here.
I think it's so funny when people talk about that because I don't really care if the scores are high or if the scores are low. I think spares are still vitally important for a lot of reasons. But you look at the high scoring stuff and people say, "Oh, you miss it. You can back it up with a 3-bagger or a 4-bagger." But everyone is doing that. So if they're not missing those spares, you don't have the time to strike to make up for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Danielle McEwan has autographed a bowling ball for one lucky
How about
fan.
that?
So if you'd like an autographed bowling ball by Danielle McEwan, we gotta hear ya. We gotta hear ya.
No one wanted a roll ball. There's the trophy. That's what's on the line.
I think she's feeling pressure now.
Danielle, don't throw that ball at somebody. Just hand on over.
Oh, the reactions.
She's gonna cry.
Unfortunately, we didn't have our camera readily available for that moment. But I saw there's a couple of high school players this week kind of walking around, absorbing, and watching. When you, obviously, as an assistant coach, and we'll talk about Jordan here in just a second, but what do you suggest? And if you get an opportunity, obviously, to talk to players who are thinking of, hey, I want to bowl collegiately, and certainly I'd like to be on the PWBA tour at some point.
Well, a couple of things. I think if you're on a college bowling team, you most certainly have the physical attributes to be a competitive bowler. And so, you can see it from sitting up here in the booth. These kids that are coming out just keep getting better and better. So from a fundamental standpoint, they're already very, very good. So I think the biggest thing is just your mentality. How do you carry yourself? Because we all carry ourselves really well when we're bowling really good. But when you're going through those struggles and those frustrating games, how are you maximizing your potential and taking a 160 to a 190 or a 150 to a 170? Because we all know, how many cuts have you looked at this year and people miss by 1 pin, 10 pins, 20 pins?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's cool to shoot 220, 230, but we don't do that every game. And so, just figuring out where do I maximize my pins all the time, because that doesn't necessarily mean striking.
Right. My name is Emil Williams Jr., ladies and gentlemen. This is Josie Barnes, PWBA champion. We've got ourselves a championship match. It is Jordan Richard, the number 1 seed, versus Sandra Gongora. Jordan, of course, the reigning PWBA Rookie of the Year, burst onto the scene, has 1 title, won the Greater Harrisburg Open, and then proceeded to make every show last year in August. What did we expect from a lane play strategy, and maybe what Jordan must do to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be pretty close to each other in terms of where they're sliding at, maybe a couple boards different here or there. I do think from watching Jordan, I think she's actually throwing a bigger symmetric bowling ball, that she's shined a little bit. So we'll see if that changes anything at all. But honestly, I think they're just going to hit the 1-3 a lot. And it'll come down to, who makes those spares when they do leave them, but, who carries a little more.
Sandra will start the match on lane 23. One more shot here for Jordan, and we'll get ready to go for our championship round.
All right, Gongora to start. Final shot for Richard.
So it looks like Jordan, at least on that shot, is sliding a little bit further right than Sandra.
Folks, who do you think's going to win? Let us know. Jordan Richard or Sandra Gongora?
Jordan will start the match. Bowling fans, how about a great big stand up for our championship?
Big thanks to our gold partners for their support of the PWBA Tour, 900 Global, Brunswick, Columbia 300, DV8, Hammer, Motive, Roto Grip, and Storm. Gongora to start. Title on the line. The PWBA Lincoln Open. We are live from Sun Valley Lanes. Number 1, Jordan Richard versus number 2, Sandra Gongora.
Left.
Uh-oh.
It's actually a very good 9. I saw several shots like that this week that the 5 and the 10 would stand. But she started the last game like this, just a little bit nervous. Get that first frame out of the way and move on.
In your experience bowling and for titles and on television, has it taken you maybe a frame to just kind of relax a little bit?
I think it takes the whole show.
Well said.
But I think that's the beauty of what we're doing. Is it's something that still makes you nervous. I tell my college kids all the time, if you aren't nervous doing this, then it doesn't mean anything to you. And so I don't think that those nerves are a bad thing. Now, how you project them onto what you're doing is good or bad. But if you're not nervous, then you're probably not doing the right thing.
Here's Jay Rich. First shot for Jordan. High flush strike. For Jordan, and we talked about her experience level. Rookie of the Year, but the show she made, Greater Harrisburg Open, she won that as the number 1 seed, by the way. Keep that in mind. Then in August, she finished 4th at St. Pete Clearwater. Then 3rd the next week, the Twin Cities Open. Then 5th the next week at the Columbus Open. Then 4th at the 3rd major of the season, PWBA Players Championship, sponsored by Cubic AMF. Those are all in August.
Yeah.
It literally was the Jordan
Not sure she
Richard
maximized her potential. It's a good shot.
It doesn't take her long to start striking.
Jordan's someone I've been able to watch for several years now because she competed in the NCAA collegiate bowling. So my team competed against hers, pretty frequently. And It's just not something you can teach. You know, she's got this natural thing that just, when her hand comes out of the ball, she's got these massive hands, you know, that they just do the right thing, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
It's the 10 out finally for Gongora. Been a long time since we saw Sandra get a 10 out.
You're correct.
That's a good sign, and it's got to help the psyche a little bit just to see the 10 go, certainly. Keep the pre-shot routine in order. She steps up left lane, looking for a double of her own after Richard opened up with a couple of strikes.
It's close. Oh.
The first shot on this lane, it looked like maybe she was a touch further left with her feet. I'm not quite sure, but it looked that way.
I mean, her angles were definitely different. You know, and this is a moment where she might have to check herself and make sure that she's not thinking about what Jordan's got going on, because these two are the closest that two people from the show would be in terms of sliding and playing the same part of the lane. And just don't overthink it. You know, in your gut you feel like it's a move, it's a move.
Listen to yourself, folks. Many times you are not wrong. Good eye on Jordan. Got a chance to talk to her great parents, Kenny and Jody, writing a story for the program, and it was only a matter of time, obviously, before we saw her in this position of the season. All right, 2-pin.
Just a bit right down lane. You know, the reason Jordan was leading this event is she was able to just create more at the break point, and so even that one, which she would tell you she missed on that one, still tried to get back where other people's balls were just flying through it.
All right, spare made for Richard. Again, we appreciate everyone joining us and tuning in. PWBA Lincoln Open. We have reached the title match. Top seed Jordan Richard from Tecumseh, Michigan versus Sandra Gongora, the number 2 seed from Monterrey, Mexico. Seventh Stepladder Finals appearance in her young career. Jay Rich.
I say it's her 7th final in 10 tournaments. It's not very many.
I think so.
Because she didn't start last season.
No, she got bowled the first. I'm sorry,
I think the Queens
missed the first 3.
Yeah.
And bowled everything after that.
So would that be 11, and then this is our 3rd, 14?
That would be technically 11. Yep.
Yeah. That's a pretty good percentage.
50%. And a 10-pin that is broken down from what looked to be a big 4.
Yeah, and to me that looked like a pretty good shot in terms of her angle off her hand. So I would expect her to probably start making some moves.
Gongora. Sandra now clean through 14 frames. Her spare game.
A lot of 9 spares.
Has been on the money. She's going to, as Josie mentioned, yeah, have to find a double at some point. Jordan looks to be on the strike train.
She moved. Great shot. Now it'll be interesting to see if Jordan moves over here too, because her first two strikes were good, but they looked high flush to me. And then her last strike, she tripped out the 4-7, it looked like. So I would expect her to make some moves here as well.
We talked to Jordan after, some of those shows in August last year. Really, it was just about the, still learning, part of the learning curve, trusting herself more, in those moments to make moves, make the ball change if necessary. And nearly there, was that 6-7, 4-6-7
Yeah.
looking? But to your point, that certainly was flirting with disaster right there. The move could be imminent.
I think there are a lot of people out here on tour that wish that as they were learning, they could still finish in the top 5 every week.
Yeah, that's such a great point. When you really look at it in that light, I mean, obviously, one of the best talents that we have on tour, and again, literally to be learned on the fly, but learning in the best position you could be learning from. I mean, learning what to do on the lanes, and which means she's learning how to win.
That's a good shot.
Shot of the match
she's
right
feeling
there.
it. She feels like she's doing it great.
You seen the score? There's John Lucido, proprietor here at Sun Valley Lanes.
He's such a great host. He put a bouquet of roses in the women's bathroom this week and had a different poem that he wrote to
How about that?
us each morning. Say that one looked like it was a bit further right down lane.
Was to try to even it up. Spare game, her spare ball has gotten a lot of work, but she has made the most of her opportunity. This one's certainly still far from over.
Good spare.
Just keeping herself in the match.
Well, I think regardless of how this match continues to unfold, her goal was to stay within herself, and I think she's done a good job of that. There haven't been any crazy errant shots, or you haven't seen a lot of emotion. That looks like she's really in control of what she's doing.
Seventh frame.
It's a good shot.
Wow, 10 back.
She knew it too.
Max score for Gongora, 239. Right now, max score for Richard, 259. Mr. Haley Bold this week is here. So watch her twin, trying to win her second PWBA title.
That's left.
And a tough one, 310. We could be in a situation.
This will make it interesting.
It's interesting either way. What's the non-strike? Gongora working on a strike. Richard will finish 310 attempt.
Good spare.
Excellent spare there.
So now we're even at max score.
I gotta be honest, I wouldn't mind a roll-off, a little sudden death roll-off here.
How many of those have we had?
I don't think we've had. No, that's
Have
not
we
true.
had one in a stepladder?
I feel that we have, but for some reason I believe it was on television. Just remember Tennille getting some airtime. I don't know if it was in. I don't think it was in the title match though. 8th frame.
It's a good 9. Well, we know there was one at the Tour Championships when Shannon won, right? Because her and Liz, there was the crazy.
Yes. That was.
Liz Brooklyn a couple times, which was crazy.
That was spectacular.
Good spare.
All right, spare in the 8th. Gongora will step up in frames 8 and 9. She will not finish the match first. That honor will be to Jordan Richard. The next time Richard is up, it could be to either put some pressure on Gongora or try to close it out for a second title. Big shot right lane. Needs it. Help. Maybe. No. And a 3-pin there. What do you
Now this will be important to remember because I do think that one was a little left. Her last one on that lane, she leaked a little right and it got back and left a 2-pin, but she has to finish on that right lane. And you know, Jordan has one more shot on that right lane, but it does appear that Jordan's a little more comfortable on the left, so it could come down to the lane choice.
SG has certainly put herself in position to win. Nine pins the difference. 9-frame shot. Gonna need it here.
It's a little left.
Loses some count.
I say count will be interesting at this point.
3-6-10 for Gongora.
And this is not a give me spare.
She left it early in her semifinal match versus Liz Johnson on the right lane. Oh, excuse me. I want to say it was on this lane. But she left it. She converted it. And she converts it again. Conversely, Jordan is going to finish on the left lane, which has been, for this game,
it has been her better lane for sure.
She has struck 3 out of 4 times. Ninth frame for Richard. Wow.
Wow.
You expect to move there?
I did, yeah. You know, even though the last one, I think she would say she got it a little left. Like we had talked about, they started to inch a little high, a little higher, a little higher. And the moves were quick this week, so there really is no time to waste. See if she makes another one over here.
Well, right now, if my math is correct, Spare 9 would do it.
She needs still 19. Strike here would
That's it.
seal the deal.
Jay Rich.
Oh, that's close.
Oh, and there it is.
Great
it
shot.
was tough looking at first. Maybe a tough break coming. But Jordan Richard. I've heard good folks in your brand and call it the franchise. I believe that is the nickname.
Yeah. She is going to be one to deal with for a very long time.
It's okay.
It's enough.
She has done what she's needed.
To me, Jordan is a lot like the conversation we had with Liz, where you can look down and the first 2 games through qualifier, you're like, Jordan, you're 50 under, what's going on? And then you look down 3 games later and you're like, oh, she's 50 over now. Okay. Jordan just doing Jordan things.
Sandra Gongora. Jordan and Haley. Those two embracing each other. Gongora striking. Of course.
And she will be back.
She looked really, really good. I mean, great this week. What a great week this week for Sandra. Even though she didn't win, what from a confidence perspective, in your opinion, you know, how can someone take this in if that's you in that position? How do you take
I
that?
don't even think you can measure it. You know, like if you go back and evaluate at the end of the weekend, you know, what your goals were, what she talked to you about before she got to the show. I think she did all of those things. You know, that's maybe the best and the worst thing about bowling is you can do everything right and still not come out with the W, but that's still learning. That's still confidence. That's still stuff that you can use down the road.
215, 195. Jordan Richard.
It's funny, we were talking before this match started, and the trophy presentation, that's the same trophy she won for her first title. And we said it has a twin now. How ironic.
All right, as we get set. For the trophy presentation, Shannon O'Keefe.
Jordan, you have a new twin in the house. How you know it's destined for you to win when Matt's sitting in the building right here? All right, we're going to have John Lucido come on out to present Jordan, our proprietor, amazing proprietor at Sun Valley Lanes. John Lucido. Have you present trophy to Jordan.
Jordan, on behalf of all of us here at Sun Valley Lanes, as well as the trophy sponsor, the Nebraska USBC, it is my privilege to crown you the 2019 PWBA Lincoln Open champion. Congratulations.
Thank you, John. Jordan, goodness, you led this tournament wire to wire. To be able to do that and close it out with your second title tour win, how do you feel?
I'm pretty speechless right now. This is definitely a dream come true.
You have been quite impressive coming off an incredible rookie season in your sophomore year to win in week 3. punching your ticket to the road to Richmond. How are you feeling about having an opportunity to win a major?
Super excited. I don't have that under my belt yet, so that's one thing I want to check off.
We always need to see who you would like to thank. It takes an army to get to this position, so who would you like to thank?
First off, I want to thank Hammer, because without them and those 4 guys over there, I definitely wouldn't be in this circle. Turbo and EFX, because they get me here as well. John, thank you to you and all your staff here. This event is top-notch, and I encourage every single person to come out and bowl this. Don't forget there's a regional tomorrow as well, so anybody out there wants to come bowl. To USBC, the BPAA, Go Bowling, all of them that make this possible.
So something that's really awesome is you have a twin sister who is out here on tour with you week in and week out, and it's pretty incredible to watch you two be there for each other, and you embraced her. How awesome is it to have a sister with you week in and week out to share these incredible moments with?
I love every minute of it. I definitely wouldn't be here without her.
All right. Well, enough. We love you, Haley. Jordan, congratulations on everything. It was quite impressive this week. Thank you to everybody who came out and supported us this week. And just like Jordan said, don't forget, anybody that's wanting to give the tour a try, sign up for that regional tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody.
And there you have it, folks. Another one in the books, certainly. But how about that? It was everything I think we thought it was going to be. In every situation we could probably think of at that point. Jose, we'll start kind of from the beginning just to recap. Danielle McEwan, Liz Johnson in the opening match. A couple good shots, and a lot of good shots actually made by Danielle, but Liz able to do what she needs to do to get past. And then Gongora. Sandra looked fierce. She looked very impressive,
steady.
I would say. Steady.
Very steady.
All week. And then obviously the title match, and specifically the Gongora Liz Johnson match.
Yes.
Spares after spares, staying patient, keeping busy. I was being photographed. My bad. I'm sorry. I was being photographed. We're on camera too. Okay. This is what happens now, folks, on Bowl TV. We get photographed. Okay. So Liz, Sandra, great match, and then Sandra advances to Jordan Richard. Just your thoughts on the entire stepladder, which was fantastic, and of course ended with Jordan.
To me, it fully encompassed what this weekend was in terms of execution, pattern play, the way it played out, scoring pace. It was not easy, and they showed how good a shot you can make and still not get 10 down in the first shot. So kudos to those girls, because it's a little lower scoring than maybe the first week, but the execution was incredible.
Excellent job by you today.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
I like being here.
Hey, well, we always know we need you out there, but certainly.
Yes, I'd prefer to be out there.
We certainly would love to have you here. So, of course, that is Josie Barnes, ladies and gentlemen, already a tour champion, and also with child. Congratulations to Josie Barnes as well. So we'll take a very small break, and then we'll come back and we'll have Jordan Richard for a few final thoughts, and then we'll wrap things up here on Bowl TV. Stay tuned. All right, folks. We'll have Jordan here in just a second. Taking a few photos. Want to make sure that we give you the opportunity. Stay tuned. We got some things to give away, as you know how we do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Jordan Richard. There's Jordan's additional twin behind her. The cool pop-up here at Sun Valley Lanes. First, Jordan, congrats. From the match perspective, you've been the top seed a couple times now. You've won both times as the top seed. There's a lot happening. You go in for a couple shots, but what did you see on the lanes, especially in that short amount of time that allowed you to play where you're going to play, and what did you decide? When did you decide that?
In practice, I threw a couple of my shots, and I didn't really like them. So the ball reps and I talked, and we made a move. I really used all the experience from last year making the TV shows that I didn't move quick enough. I make one-board moves typically, so on those couple of those shots, though, we went 3 boards left and went with it. And so I trusted my gut, and I trusted them, and it worked in my favor.
That's interesting. It was something actually I talked about when we talked last year, and you said, hey, it was just about learning and being quicker with certain things. No hesitation today. Obviously a good match with Sandra Gongora. Was there any point in the match where you felt like, I've got a double, I've got a triple, because I know at some point the pins will fall for Sandra?
No, I didn't really think about that at all. I kind of just stayed in myself, and whatever she was going to do, what she was going to do. There's nothing that I can do outside of that. So I just kind of stayed within myself and took care of myself, and it fell this time.
You had some goals, obviously. You certainly want to win a couple titles this season. You already have one at this point. You just think about where you are in such a short period of time.